What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another ride-sharing video. Yet another Lyft driver, another ride-sharing driver is in the news for all the wrong reasons. Another ride-share driver having an undesirable outcome. Nevertheless, I want you to hear this news story because there are some key lessons of interest that I think we might be able to take from this one, but check it out.
On 6, a Lyft driver still reeling after she says she was carjacked at gunpoint by teens on Lundi Gras.
This happened just off Poitras Street. Now she's hoping the NOPD will find those responsible, saving others from what she experienced. WDSU reporter Shay O'Connor joins us live from where everything went down with the victim's message. Shay.
Travers and Gina, Loretta Scott tells me it happened right here, just as she was hopping inside of her vehicle to make a pickup with Lyft 1 week ago today. That's when she says masked gunmen walked up to her telling her to get out. Now, on your screen right now, the moment suspects surrounded a gray Chevy Malibu. She says they tussled with her. Shortly after, you can see the Malibu driving off, another SUV tailing closely behind it. Now, Scott tells me the suspects couldn't have been any older than 15. Now she fears doing any more pickups. She also says she's strongly considering moving out of the state because of all of the crime.
The city is down, way down on defense. Somebody needs to press a button and get the National Guard up in here. I'm fine with seeing automatic weapons on a National Guard until we get the city in line. I hate to say it like that, but it is so needed.
Now, Scott tells me that she was eventually able to get her car back through OnStar. Not only were they able to locate it, but they also shut it down when it was no longer in drive. But now about $5,000 worth of damages she'll now have to pay for her vehicle. I have much more on this at 6 p.m. right here on WDSU. Reporting live, Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
None of the carjackers were any older than 15. That is the testimony according to the victim here in this story. Now, she could be wrong. It could be a 19, 20-year-old that looked unusually young for their age. But this is a very similar report coming from all over the country that the folks doing these carjackings, particularly in Baltimore, I've done numerous stories on dozens of carjackings to rideshare drivers happening in the city of Baltimore over a very short period of time, like 50 in about 6 or 7 weeks, all rideshare drivers. Well, happening in Baltimore, I talked about a team doing it out in Detroit. But in this case, she's saying no one appeared to be over the age of 15, which makes it clear there are a lot of young felons out there doing this shit. Now, in my previous videos, I certainly has been a huge proponent of discriminating. It's young black males, period. This is young black males doing this. So I often talk about being very selective in regards to who you pick up, what times of day, and what neighborhoods you go in. But in regards to this video in particular, notice that this appears to have happened in broad daylight. Now, I'm looking at the footage there. I'm going to assume that's not night infrared footage. That looks like that's happening in broad daylight, where they're carjacking her with a chase vehicle. Now, I often talk about when you're taking your breaks, whether you're driving in daytime or night, stay in populated areas. If you're going to take a break, you know, a well-lit truck stop, a well-lit gas station, or maybe some area with high traffic, with a lot of lights, because some drivers like to take their breaks on dark blocks. You know, you're sitting there with a sandwich in your lap in the middle of the damn night. Your radio, your telephone is the only light on the whole damn block, and people can see you from miles away. Just inviting somebody to walk up and jack you for your shit. Don't do that. Always take your breaks, because you're going to be very vulnerable during the time you're sitting in the car on break. You're looking down at your phone, looking at your radio, maybe some reading materials. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you. You are on break. And as, you know, the outcome could easily be somebody sneaking up on you, particularly if you're doing this at night in a location where there is no lights around. your light is going to readjust your eyes. So when you look around, it takes a moment to adjust. This is the perfect time to get jacked. So I'm not a fan of taking breaks in dark areas, but in this case, it does appear that it happened during broad daylight. Now, you see the woman suggesting that she's considering moving out of the area because of crime and things like that, and she's fearful of taking another trip. If they're having dozens of carjackings of rideshare drivers in your area, no one would fault any driver for, literally wrapping it up. I'm done with this shit. I totally understand that. I did a video stating I do not advise drivers of rideshare to engage in that profession in Baltimore. Just too much shit happening. So I totally understand that point. However, if you are a rideshare driver, whether driving for Uber or Lyft, and you're leaving a high crime area like New Orleans because of the crime, and you still want to be a rideshare driver, where the hell are you going to go? The cities that are small and low crime don't pay shit. When you look on, say, YouTube, or you look at videos of folks talking about how much money they're earning, folks who are true earners in ride sharing, they live in big cities where there is a hell of a lot of crime. You don't see anybody bragging about making $2,000 a week in Billings, Montana. You're not going to hear about this in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's going to be in New York, New Orleans, Baltimore, places where there are a hell of a lot of people, particularly low income, oftentimes are the ones that are requesting these rides. And that is where the crime is. So unfortunately, if you go through what this poor woman went through and you want to basically live a life so you don't put yourself at risk for it again, you probably need to exit out of the ride-sharing community altogether, because the small, safer cities do not pay shit in ride-sharing. There's no surge pricing. There's very little to no bonuses, streaks, and all of that. It's just not going to be there. So really kind of feel sorry for what this woman went through. But yeah, the idea that it could happen in broad daylight shows how brazen some of these folks are. Now, in the video, you hear the reporter state that OnStar was able to turn her vehicle off or deactivate it once it was out of drive. That's a pretty nice feature. If you have the ability to activate OnStar, and certainly if you live in some of these dangerous-ass towns like New Orleans or Baltimore or Detroit or Chicago or Los Angeles, where all this shit is happening, I'd highly encourage subscribing to their service so that you can turn your vehicle off once they park it somewhere and get out of it. Like, say, for instance, they stop it to go carjack somebody or go and run into a liquor store or something and stick it up. They put the car in park, boom, OnStar has it programmed to turn off, and now it's stuck at the damn liquor store and leaving them to have to run off by foot. I would certainly suggest getting that service, because there is a lot of us getting carjacked. We are the perfect target to do this to, because unlike a typical carjacking where you got to run up to somebody at a gas station or run up to somebody at an intersection, we come on demand. You could literally go to an isolated spot where nobody is around and call us, and we will show up there, unlock our doors, and let you in. Who makes a more perfect victim than that? So we do make for great carjacking victims. Nevertheless, I don't think there's any way you can avoid this type of stuff when you operate in big cities. And when you start driving in the wee hours of the morning, it makes it worse, because, yeah, there's less people on the street. This is when a lot of criminals operate, and it leaves us in danger for this type of thing. But I understand a lot of rideshare drivers prefer driving in the wee hours of the morning. Maybe that's the time you're not working your day job, or you like the fact there's no traffic, or you make more money from the club crowd and the after bar crowd. That's your choice. But understand what this woman went through. Driving in those hours, you have an increased likelihood of facing the same damn thing. So I wanted to run this video by you because it is getting to the point where it is sickening how often this is happening. Have you made any changes? Talking to my veteran drivers that have been doing this for a while. Now that you're seeing, hell, not only from my channel, but a host of other channels and the media in general, have you made any changes to your behavior in particular since you have begun to hear how many of us are being robbed, stuck up, carjacked, and even killed. There are drivers who have lost their lives. Because I'm asking this because when I started driving 2014, several years ago, they weren't carjacking us like this. We were not being stuck up and, you know, ripped off and murdered like we are now. This has gotten significantly worse, say, post-pandemic. So let me know in the comments section, have you changed any of your behaviors because of what we seem to be going through in modern times? As always, it's your boy Tim. Subscribe to the damn channel, and I'll see you in the next video.